welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today's pick a card. I'm actually just going to do one pile for the collective, and the reason for that is that I started to pull cards and I just kept getting the impression that despite the circumstance you're inquiring around, that a lot of the information and the suggestions will be the same. So instead of doing 3 pick a card piles that are almost exactly the same on my part, I'm just going to do one for all of you. So we're looking at how can you be a change agent. My intention behind this was thinking about how there often is areas in our life that we're like a little maybe frustrated or confused or don't know where to start with changing the way maybe I don't know, maybe how our family systems work, maybe how our political parties run, maybe how we're advocating for life, maybe just our relationships in general. Just how can we be a change agent in an area that you have been feeling frustrated in? And I do want to say this is a little more catered towards relationships with other people or interactions with other people. I think that's the only thing. So if you feel drawn to listen to this, then please do so. If this isn't really what you were looking for and you don't really want to listen to it, don't feel like you have to. No pressure there. Okay, so I am still going to clear the energy of you all before we begin because I just like to do that. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so how I separated out these piles is this is really the card deck. It is the Mystic of Magdalene that I chose to use for getting clarity on how you can actually be a change agent. How can you make a change or create a change or difference in this area that you're struggling with? This here, I just put a crystal on top of it so I would remember myself that this was the energy to step out of. So we'll see once I get into it what comes through, but my intention was to see previous patterns or behaviors that we have fallen into or that the people around us fall into, and to have that into our awareness, kind of name it and see it, and kind of know where to start with releasing that. And also I thought it would just help see the blocks that are going on, like why are these patterns repeating, what emotions are coming up. So we put a crystal on it to remember that that is that pile. This pile, which is the same card deck, is what we need to step into. And then I also just pulled a couple of cards from Alana Fairchild's Crystal Mandela card deck about energy to step into as well. Yeah, I just felt really called to her cards for some reason, so I just wanted to put a couple in. So let's start. Why don't I put these over here? Let's start with talking about what you can do. Okay, sorry, it's just changing my battery. It's doing this weird thing where it says it's full, and then like all of a sudden goes to 2, and then once it goes to 2 bars, it usually just dies randomly. So if you watched last week's pick card pile, we're not going to mess with that again, as it erases my readings if the battery dies during them. So Anyways, let's begin here. We have first this card here, which says free reign, break loose. Really love this card. I love that she is on a white horse, that she is in the water. Her toe is just about to dip in it. I don't know. I just like it. Maybe it's because it really does to me feel like it's embodying that feeling of freedom and clearing out the old. And new partnerships. That's what I feel like I get from that card. So then we also have here Songs of Songs. Express your love. We have Rosa Gallica. Sensuality and Secrets. She's hanging onto a flower. We have, Magdalene Meditating Retreat. We have The Sacred Vow, Divine Commitment. We have Salome, I think it's Salome, sorry. Ecstatic Dance, there we go. We have Simple Gifts, Appreciation. We have, I pulled a lot of cards. Unconditional Love, Move Beyond Fear. And I have two more here for you. Emerging from the Shadows, Reveal What is Hidden, and The Tree of Life, Peace. So why don't I actually just shuffle them over one, shuffle them over here. Okay. So interesting. Of things that I noticed right away is I definitely feel like there's a heart energy coming through, like with the songs Express Your Love, and definitely an embracing of what you fear within yourself, of yourself, embracing fear itself. What does that mean? For some of you are like, what? I don't want to be scared. But I think this is the big thing I'm seeing here is it's almost like when I see this, emerging from the shadows, reveal what is hidden, and divine commitment, sacred vow, and the sensuality and secrets card here. I feel like they're talking about the same theme. So why is this coming up for how you can change, be a change agent in aspects of your life? It's almost like saying the shadow and our shame and our guilt and our fears are what is holding us back as I guess as a human species right now. Like that is where we are repeating our patterns. That is where and when we are in those energies of trying to hide what we feel shameful of, what we are afraid of, and not see it or acknowledge it, that it actually holds power over us and it puts us in a less conscious state. What does that mean? I feel like I'm just like, okay, so that's still not making sense. Instead of being in a heart energy, which when we refer to being in a heart energy, it's being in a place where you are interacting and seeing the world from a place of compassion, wisdom, and love. It doesn't mean that you are forgetting and not seeing people clearly. It is just that you're coming at them first with compassion, and understanding, and not judgment, and I want to say scarcity. So how would that look? I'm thinking of like seeing stuff on social media or on Instagram or on YouTube. Say you're just flipping through and you're just getting opinion overload from all these like very strong opinionated people, these influencers or people like even like myself, maybe people who are on YouTube, talking and just sharing opinions about what they believe and how they think things are going to go. And there might be some truths in there, some facts, some evidence, but it's almost calling on you to see them not from a state of your own fear and what you fear coming in to fruition, or fearing disempowerment or scarcity and lack, or and it doesn't have to be like scarcity financially. It can be scarcity of feeling like disempowered, scarcity of losing love, fear of not being lovable, not being accepted. And it is also, and for some of you who are watching this, fear of financial downfall. So they're saying like fear of not having a home, fear of not being able to eat, fear of just having to live in almost like a state of slavery where you are working every day just to make it by, and the heaviness around that energy. It's like the fear is what puts the heaviness around that energy. So it's interesting. There's so many pairs here too. I'm just noticing, like there's a pair here, there's a pair here, there's a pair here, there's a pair there. And I think that's just even what I was talking about, like for like sorry, just like it does, there is like a partnership aspect, and there is like comforting yourself, and oh man, it's like too many things to explain in like one sentence. Like I almost feel like they're saying you're not as alone and isolated and in this by yourself as you think, and sharing sort of the, I shouldn't say sharing the burden, no, it's like being vulnerable with partners and these other people. So it's, for some of you, it really is talking about like your romantic partnerships, being honest with them. And I think that's why they're saying the word sharing the burden, because it's like sharing your heaviness on your heart, so that you aren't just living in your own stress and turmoil around it. But also for some of you, it is discussing like cooperation. No, that's not quite the word. Collaboration. There we go. That's the word, collaboration. Um, Collaboration, and still once again this like vulnerability and honesty, but it comes from being heart energy opened, heart chakra opened, connected with the heart, because it's almost like stepping out of your fear of judgment, your fear of, I keep getting loss of love, loss of like stability in those relationships, whether they're partnerships that are romantic or business. They're just saying like unburdening yourself. You feel like there will already be so much support there, and it's almost like they're saying that the human species, when we feel scared and we feel backed into a corner, or like we're getting close to feeling backed into a corner, for lack of a better expression, we isolate ourselves. It's almost like we go into us and them. And they're really just saying like that is like when we become our weakest, because we aren't actually ever truly alone. And it makes us almost it almost gives too much power to our own fear and our own like I keep coming back to, it's like that heaviness, that fear. I keep saying that, it's like I just feel it as such a physical experience that it's hard to just say fear and feel like that is an adequate word for how it feels. It feels like very survivalistic. Maybe that's a better one. So it's almost like getting out of that and getting yourself out of feeling like that is the quickest way for you to come into a place, like it says, like break free, come into a place of clarity, of empowerment, of seeing the situation clearly, and inner peace. Like I so love this peace card, because it's almost saying like once we get into fear, we kind of go out of our state of consciousness or mindfulness that we have, and we kind of go more into our primitive survival state that comes from our deep ancestry. And if you watched last week's figure card reading, it was just very interesting. Came through about some Egyptian, I guess I shouldn't say Egyptian. Some past lives were kind of felt Egyptianish. Some of them felt pre-Egypt, like very long ago. But I used Egyptian cards, so I think that's why I keep accidentally referring to it as Egyptian. But it really did explain how humans, as a very starter species, were very animalistic, and was almost like we hadn't turned on any of our chakra systems. And it's like the best way I can explain it. It was almost like we just had never known that we could have heart chakras or love and compassion, and it was just like something that didn't exist within our species yet. So it's not like something to like be mad at ourselves about or be angry with ourselves about. We just like were very, very, very young, newly created species then, and we just were very animal like, very kind of aggressive, kind of very territorial, very survivalistic. It wasn't like a happy animal who has all its needs met. It was like a territorial animal that's very scrappy and hungry all the time, and fears for its life every day. So it's almost like it's saying to this day that is like when we go into fear, we are connecting with that kind of energy. And the best way for you to be a healthy like change agent, or I would even say leader. I kept thinking like when I'm saying how can you be a change agent, you are on some level being asked how can you be a leader in either your family system, in your business, in your workplace, in your I keep on saying like town, city, environment. Like it really is how can you be a role model and someone who is change? It's by getting out of that, I don't want to say base chakra, but it's the closest thing I could say. It's the primitive base chakra. Not like the true root chakra. I think it truly I would call a base chakra like something different um in this situation, because it's almost where our like animal fight, flight, and hide, survive instincts are in place. So then, sorry, I feel like I'm kind of rambling a bit. So first step is to get out of that energy, and their suggestion is to, first it says emerge from the shadow. Go like, I know it's so hard to say this, but I feel like if you're watching this, it's because you're already someone who has a good level of self-awareness that you have nurtured, worked on, created, however you want to call it. You've done some stuff here. You've done some of a journey here to have self-awareness, so that even when you see that you are in feeling back into a corner, or your fears coming up, or you're feeling disempowered, you're feeling like you are a martyr or a victim, or something of that kind of energy, that old, very primitive human energy that we initially all had, you realize that you're going into that. So it's almost like saying once you notice, that is when you can take back your power in those moments, because you know that that is just an old thing left from our start of our existence. And that we are fortunate enough now to be conscious beings, mindful beings. We have this ability to choose to connect into our bodies and in our heart chakras. So that is what you're going to do once you catch yourself. You're going to tune into your body. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to put a hand wherever you feel called to, because I think for you, you might want to put it on your stomach. You might want to put it on your heart. You might want to put one on both. You're going to breathe because you've probably held your breath a little bit more than normal. And you just breathe in and out a couple of times, and then you're just going to ask, like, what's going on within me? Where is this fear coming from? And I think that just with all this collective has done in their life to this point, to have developed this self-awareness, you will see clearly what is going on. You'll get an answer, and that answer could be something like, I'm feeling afraid that I will be outcasted. I'm feeling afraid like I will be rejected, I will not be loved, or that I think a lot of this feels like very outcasting energy though, like very, like society will refuse me in some way. I don't know. It'll be a different lingo because I feel like that's not the language that our body comes through with. Is I'm scared to be outcasted. It's more like I'm scared I won't be loved. I'm scared that I will be all alone. I'm scared that I'm by myself and everything depends on me. Like something of that sort. And I feel like y'all will know what to do in that part. You'll just see that fear, and it will almost like give you your power back immediately, because you'll be like, oh, this is an old fear. This is a natural instinct for me to go into fight or flight. fight, sorry. I don't always say fight twice. Or freeze, fight, flight, or freeze. And I just feel like you're gonna, just having seen that, understood it, you're gonna already feel more empowered. But from there, they are suggesting also, of course, always ask yourself what else you can do for yourself. And I think you'll just get the answers, and it will be unique to you all. But it keeps being very adamant that it will come with a feeling of empowerment, because you will see the situation clearly and understand why your body has gone into this state. But then the secondary step after you check in with yourself and ask yourself what it needs is, like we were saying at the start, is like unburdening yourself. And if you've put yourself more into I'm in this alone, I gotta just like keep it in, keep my worry and my fears to myself, this is when you step out of that and you let this partner of yours know. And like I said, I don't know in all these cases if it's a romantic partnership or a business partnership or just a friendship, but I do feel like that secondary thing is to get yourself out of the isolation, which once again actually makes you feel more empowered again, which takes you more out of that very primitive animalistic state, that fear state of feeling victimized, martyred, or disempowered. And I just feel like every time you're more honest about what fear has come up, the next time it does come up, it just feels like it has less of a grasp over you. Like it just, the more you go through something and get through it, the less you get stuck in it, if that makes sense. It's almost like practicing any sort of new habit or sport. Like at first it's so hard to figure it out, or to get to do an action that you've just learned how to do, and then you do it more and more and more, and then you can do it faster to a point where you don't even need to think about it. You just process it and do it. And that's how it's going to be with this. So it's really saying embracing the shadow so that it no longer disempowers you or has power over you. So that's really the break loose, free reign, so much opportunity. And like I said, there's partnership here. So it's saying you're not doing it by yourself, you're doing it by collaborating, having other people to support and lean on, because we're not meant to be isolated and alone and the only one in a responsibility role with that weight on us. And then yes, I do just want to say like this inner peace thing. I just feel like this is kind of the energy they're saying that will follow that. Feeling freed, light, very light, like air, peaceful, true inner peace. And then it's saying the other things that come with that is feeling grateful for the things you have, instead of being fearful of what you don't have. It's like kind of going into that shift of perspective. But why is this coming up? I was just asking them. I was like, well, people always say that. Why does it matter to them now? I'm sure they've heard this before. And the answer I'm getting is just that, like, that is the difference though between people who choose to live in fear and those who choose not to. Those who choose to let their I want to say scarcity, that's not quite the right word, let themselves kind of get battered around and get like opinions thrown at them, get more scared of those opinions. I almost feel like they're saying like self-mastery is how you watch that kind of content that people have like very fear spoken opinions, and instead of seeing those opinions and being like, oh my gosh, they're probably so right, you just see it as you see their fear coming through, or their disempowerment coming through, and you can see it, you can honor that they're going through that experience, but it won't infiltrate you. It just won't infiltrate how you're feeling, the empowerment you do or don't feel. And it's actually really quite beautiful, because it's like you're able to hold space for them to have their expression and not have to go into that state. And I feel like some of you have seen this, where someone's like, no, that's not true, it's all wrong. Like, if what you're, oh, that's my cat trying to break in. If instead of like where sometimes people will deny something, will deny that person's fear, deny that person's belief system being true, because that's their coping mechanism to not go into a fearful state, is just to deny or not see it. You won't be in that. I want to make sure that's being clear. I see you as just being a neutral space holder, where you can hear all these opinions, but you are centered and grounded in yourself, that it does not bother you. And it's almost like they're saying that's what we need. True, strong in ourself, in our own strength, in our own regulation, self-regulation, that other people's opinions and fears don't just become our fears. And they're saying fears, I don't even know if it would be opinions, but it's more like just their scared words get embodied into you sometimes, or into the collective. Because I really want to be clear, it's not you specifically. They're almost explaining to me like, this is what they see happen again and again. We almost, like they say, like we catch each other's fears, or we catch each other's opinions, or take opinions as truth too often. And most of those opinions are derived from fear. So it's just kind of like this vicious circle. So I'm hoping you're seeing why they're saying being able to handle your own fear when it comes up, and like tune into it and catch yourself when you are starting to feel back to the corner, heavy. They're saying heavy, stress, worn down, like you're just feeling overwhelmed, like there's just too much on you to do. It's like in that moment you need to like first go in and ask what is going on, get that clarity, and then share the work, share what is happening, so that you are not further pushed into this state of being this way. And there's such a big thing too around raising your voice about it, because if you see, like, it's like freedom, breaking loose, it's all about like sharing, speaking up. It's not done in a fearful way. So that is the difference. It's not just adding more fearful noise and opinions. It's just sharing what you're experiencing and going through. And yeah, same thing over here where it says meditating and retreats and unconditional love, move beyond fear. Literally says move beyond fear. Also, just the blue is just so electrifying. And if you can't tell, she actually has like a blue aura about her. Yeah, Charlie's pretty determined to get in here. He can like, I'm actually surprised he can't figure out how to open the doors, because he can pull down the handle, but it's like he just doesn't quite push so that it opens, luckily. Otherwise he'd be breaking into everything. Okay. I actually want to talk about this ecstatic dance card. I really like this for... It feel like the energy coming off of it is just saying like, sometimes we actually just need to move through our bodies the emotions that might be really stuck there. So I notice how her eyes are closed and she's not paying any attention to really like whatever's going around outside of her. Like she's really going within to just feel in her body and move it in ways that it wants to move to express itself. So I kind of like seeing dance in this way as a way to give your body a voice. Instead of you trying to speak for it, you just let it move in a way it needs to move. So maybe you feel like you need to literally roll around on the ground, or I don't know. I feel like I see like a lot of like emotion coming through, like through movements and circling body parts. I don't know. But obviously, if you are going to dance with your eyes closed, you need to make sure that there's nothing you're going to hit or run into, or maybe you keep your eyes half closed, or like just use some common sense here and don't like be dancing around near like potholes or dangerous items or cars or anything that is dangerous. So anyways, I just also feel like this is coming through as a little secondary message. If you're feeling like you have some stuff stuck in the body that you want to release further, or it just needs movement to get out, try closing your eyes and asking your body to just express what it wants to express. Yeah. Okay. I'm also wondering. Okay, yeah, you just have to mention this. I was gonna move on to maybe to these cards here. But I just got really caught looking at this harp, and it's so interesting. I feel like sorry, I'm just yawning. It seems to be a thing I'm doing a lot these days. I almost am just wondering, like, I just kept thinking about how, like, sometimes we listen to songs or music that we feel like expresses how we're feeling in a situation that we're not really verbalizing. And then it's so weird to say this, but I feel like for some of you, if in your romantic partnerships you find yourself always listening to music to be like feel expressed and how you want to feel expressed, it's almost saying like maybe it's just time to use your own voice and express those emotions to your partner. Not that there's anything wrong with feeling through music and feeling heard through music, but it's almost just saying like, it really feel like a big message here is it's time to use your own voice. It's time to communicate and not communicate secondary through so many different things, to actually change. And I think that's a big thing they're saying. To change patterns or change cycles, you have to kind of do something that you haven't done before, or do something in a way you haven't done it before. I don't know. I just feel like that's an answer for someone who's just like feeling really stuck in a partnership block. Who's watching this, a romantic partnership block. I just feel like it's saying use your own voice. Express how you're feeling with your own words. And maybe just starts with small words, but you've got this. You can do it. It's intimidating, but maybe that's when you can ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What's holding you back? And kind of go through this process. Okay, so this was what the guides were saying we need to step out of, to kind of get out of the whatever pattern or cycle we're currently in. So even if you're like someone who's watching this because you're like, well, how do we stop getting like the same sort of government ruling or political parties or like systems happening and regulations that happen? How do we stop getting those kind of things to happen? That this is what it's saying we need to release or step in, or not. For this, it was like what we need to release is, I think, what I asked, right? I think so. To create change. So it's interesting because, as I said, I wanted to know what we need to release. They focused on what people need to step into. Very classic. So here it says, surrender your need to always be right. This is so interesting because I feel like this is once again talking about the opinions, and this whole energy feels like are like when we get into fearful states, it's other people's opinions that like we use as like supporting evidence. Like this person thinks this too, or this person thought they meant this. Like it's so interesting. It's like they're saying like really it's just other people's like noise and opinions and not facts, not truth, there's no. Sorry, my camera automatically stops after 30 minutes, so it just cut me off there. So I just was wanting to or I think it was just explaining when it cut off about this surrender your need to always be right card. And if any of you have experienced or seen a situation in your life, I'm sure most of you must have seen something like this where it's almost like someone believed in something so much that even if there was a ton of evidence that it wasn't true, um, they just they couldn't admit it. It was almost like if they admitted it, then everything they believed in was wrong. Everything they fought for um, was fought for the wrong reasons or a wrong thing, or just like it's like almost like they can't handle it. And that's what I'm seeing when it's talking about this. It's almost like people held on to a fear or a belief or an assumption or an opinion even about something so tightly that they like are too scared to let it go. Like they're like, I've gone too deep with it, I can't let it go now. And I feel like they're saying like this is, I think this is where I'm seeing like this is where the big issue is with some really big like maybe political views or political parties or religious views or opinions about certain famous people. Like it all comes down to this like, well, I've supported them for so long, and they like it's just it feels like it really does come from like fear of like, well, then what has all this been for? Who have I been advocating for? What have I been advocating for if this isn't the right way to do things? So it could even be in belief systems on um gender roles. Like it's so many things. They're just saying like we just really like to hang on to what we think we were right in, but they were all based on opinion. So when I see the surrender your need to be right, I don't think it's specifically talking about just this pile, but like humans as a collective is that we can almost get, I wouldn't say like I feel like the surface level it feels like we're too proud to admit that it was all wrong, but it's more like we can't handle it. Like it's almost like we have too much shame. If this isn't true, then I'm not a good person, and I thought I was the good person and they were the bad person. And I even think it's like it's so judgment and opinion based. Like we put ourselves in our own conundrums around it because we've made something good bad. We put a judgment and an opinion on it, and then we're wrong, or we see the other person or the other party's perspective, and then we realize, oh, like they're fighting for the same thing. I don't know, I hope that makes sense. Like they're just saying the fear and the opinions and the judgments and the assumptions is really our downfall right now. So what we have here is surrender to wonder and awe, surrender to complete healing, and surrender to your soul's path. So this is so interesting. Why did it come up for what to release when it says to bring this in? Good question. I would also love to know that. It says your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson and every moment. Open fully to the loving, compassionate forces of the universe that supports your physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. Open to the magic of every moment and sense the awe and wonder in all of life. This attitude will keep you connected to extia flow. Okay, so I think I got my answer actually. So I almost feel like they're really like this is a collective reading, so I am like my intention was to hold it to be accurate or applicable. There we go. Too many A words. For a mass size group. So it is interesting. So I almost feel like they're keeping it pretty simple in the sense that they're saying like what we're struggling with still to this day is sort of our primitive nature coming through when we're put into a state of fear. What happens when we get in a state of fear? We like to hang on to it, or we put more opinions and judgments and assumptions on it, and then that kind of continues to be your downfall. So when I read these cards, I feel like what they're saying is how to get out of that. Instead of like we're saying where we've seen people, or I think most of us have seen people hang on to it because of that shame, that guilt, that fear of, oh no, what if I'm the bad person and I thought they were, and it's all reversed. They're saying instead of going down that rabbit hole of more fear, more judgment on yourself, more guilt and shame, what if you go, okay, all right, I can't change now what I've done in the past, but I can change what I can now. Whatever all this was for, like there was a lesson and a growth in it. It's saying like embrace the lessons and the growth. This was part of your soul's path. Don't beat yourself up for it, for those mistakes. I mean, whatever those mistakes were, they led you to an awareness that brought you to what you're seeing now. So it's just so fascinating. It's like, so don't beat yourself up. You obviously ended up exactly where you needed to be. Maybe you would have preferred it been faster or not in that way, but you got here. So celebrate that. And then what I love next is it talks about healing, like healing. Love yourself, have compassion for yourself and for others, and support yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually, and don't punish yourself for not seeing whatever it is you weren't seeing clearly. Don't punish yourself, because you're just continuing a vicious cycle of abuse towards yourself now. Um, and that just isn't like the energy that we want to bring in more of. We want to bring in more heart energy, not more punishment, scarcity, pain, fear, guilt, shame. So how do you get out of that is you heal that within yourself first. And then surrender to wonder and awe, the magic of the moment. So it's almost saying like, I think this is a great card actually, because I feel like a lot of people can get stuck in the past and like, I should have done this, should have done that. It's like, okay, stop thinking about the past and just think about right now. Think about what is good right now. Think about how amazing it is that life just keeps moving in this moment. So it's almost interesting. It's almost like they're saying, and I almost feel like this is a bit of a message for someone who is maybe even struggling a little bit with depression sometimes. It's just like, see how nature still goes. Like, it's almost like, see how the water moves down the creek. Isn't that kind of amazing that it can do that? Why does it move downstream if it's flat ground? Like, it's just like, just looking at things like that and being like, wow, that's really cool. Or how does a caterpillar make a cocoon for itself and then turn into a butterfly? Like, isn't that amazing? Like, wow, how interesting, how cool. Like, it's just feel like it's saying, look at things that maybe you've only looked at very quickly and see the amazingness in all these small things in life that we don't fully appreciate. Like, even for example, like, how does a crystal form in the ground into perfect points and perfect lines? Like, that's kind of amazing if you think about it. Like, I don't know, I always find that crazy. No one put them in that form. Nature naturally created that form. Stuff like that. Okay, let's look at this last one here. So this was what to step more into, which I guess we kind of got some. So it says surrender to the magic of who you are. And I like how this is talking about opening up that heart energy, not being afraid of being you, of being your authentic, true self, your vulnerable self. That is what changes the world, is when people are happy and not holding that vibration of fame, or sorry, of shame. I'm trying to say fear and shame at the same time, and I said fame. So not holding that vibration of fear, shame, guilt, and like dissatisfaction with yourself, lack of self-love. It's almost like when you hold that within yourself, you're keeping that energy more alive on the planet. And it's like, why? Like, why do you feel like you need to hang on to that? And that's actually even like a question you could even ask yourself, is why am I hanging on to this? Why do I think I need this still? Surrender to joy. Just being happy. I love it. I feel like these cards are basically saying the same thing. A key to positive change in your life is to let joy in and savor it. Indulge in random acts of smiling during both the hard and easy times. Keep surrendering to more joy. And it also says we all have magic in us, even in the mundane aspects of life. Remember that you are a magical being with a uniqueness and a worth that comes from just being you. And I actually really like that as an answer. I feel like it's one of those answers that maybe we can get frustrated with, but it's almost like, if you want there to be more love in the world, then it's the classic answer of, then it needs to start with you. Do you love yourself? Do you love openly and honestly and vulnerably? Or do you keep your love to yourself because you're scared of being hurt? Just reflective questions like that. Surrender your ego. So cultivate gratitude, be of service to others, come from your heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals. So I even feel like this card goes really good with that card over here where it says surrender the need to be right. I really do feel like that kind of comes from the ego of like hanging on to attachment to resolve, hanging on to, well, I've said this, so it must be true. Otherwise, that means I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, like, I don't know, the ego just goes down its own wormholes there. And then we have another surrender to spirit. Once you've done everything you can to achieve a goal, turn the situation over to the divine. Let spirit work its magic for you. So I really like, it's a very simple answer. And maybe that's what we don't like, is we sometimes want a more complicated answer. And I even speak for myself, where I'm like, this is too easy. How is this actually going to create change? But it's like, oh, I have seen the power of someone who is kind to another, someone who is genuinely compassionate and holds space for another, creating the most healing in another person. Telling them what to do or your opinion about their situation usually doesn't create healing. It's the actual holding space for them just to be whoever they are, or express whatever they're feeling or working through. That's always been the greatest change I've seen in people, or have on people. So in short, what it's saying, if you want to be a change agent, be aware of your own self, where fear is still sometimes making you feel disempowered, the fear that comes up within you, and try your best to surrender to being authentically you, open to receiving love, to expressing love, and to being happy, and to realize that if you are happy and loving and kind to all the people that you come across, or to your best effort, then I just feel like it's saying, like, law of attraction, law of energetics says that things will shift, things will change, things will move. As long as you're not doing it out of expectation that something will happen, but just out of true heart, joy, and love. And yeah, it's so funny. I find the universe is so ironic, in the most frustrating ways. And I feel like this is one of them. This layers of like irony. Okay, so the last two cards here we have is Heavenly Mercy. It says Angel Uziel and Smoky Quartz, which I love. Smoky Quartz, all about root, healing, clearing, grounding, being present, being fully embodied, manifestation. So that's really cool. And then over here we have the Ascended Master Serapis Bay in Clear Calcite Karmic Grace. So yeah, I really like this. So it has Crystal Angels 444 and Crystal Masters 333. And I'm wondering, should I read from the deck for these? Maybe I'll say they usually have a voice invocation. So why don't we do that wherever you put the guidebook? Give me a second here. Okay. So we have, you know what? Let's do the karmic one first. Okay, so this card says, we bring you the blessings of karmic grace. There are many ways to learn and grow. Some ways are joyful and some more challenging. Sometimes a challenge can best be resolved through profound struggles that force you to transform in such a way that you can never go back to what has been. The struggle might have been deeply painful for the mind, body, and emotions, and yet what is gained from that experience is a multiplicity of blessings: personal power, freedom, insight, self-respect, and wisdom. These qualities then help you live a better life where the past pain need not be repeated. Blessings can at other times be gained through joyful experience. Sometimes the struggle is what will bring you the greatest spiritual progress. Sometimes a more joyful path will be how you grow best. The universe loves you with such passion that you shall never be denied what you most need and what shall help you fulfill your divine destiny. So that's awesome. That's what this card said. And ironically, it kind of summed up these surrender cards underneath them very, very well, about stepping into joy and knowing that challenges and things we're not proud of have come and gone through our lives. But if we get held up on that and we just stay stuck in that and not see how far we've come, how freed we can be, then just what was it all for? I feel like that's kind of what I get from that, but that is a bit of my opinion. So you just know that you don't gotta take no one's opinions. So I was gonna read the affirmation, but it's like 2 pages long. So we'll skip the affirmation for that card, and then we'll look at this smoky quartz card here. It says that this card comes forward to bring you the gift of heavenly mercy. As you grow spiritually, your energy field becomes more substantial. Your thoughts and actions carry more karmic weight in the world. So that's actually really cool that this came up right next to the karmic card, because what I'm really seeing there is it's almost saying like, if somewhere you were like, okay, that's awesome, you want me to be happy and loving and that's just going to solve the world's problems, I don't totally get that, but okay, even if I do that, how's it going to change everything? And this card is almost answering and saying that you working through your own karma, your own like healing, your own shit, it's almost, for lack of a better word, it's almost like they say like light workers are brighter. People who come here wanting to help heal other people, help people's lives be less burdensome, be, like, lack of better words, a brighter light for people in their lives. It's saying like you quite literally do have a brighter light. You influence the energy in this world more, because it's almost like you have more light in you. So it's almost like a quantity thing. Like it just, I don't know, it just kind of makes sense to me, where it's like if you're living in scarcity and lack, usually you feel very dense, stressed out, fearful, and you don't feel like there's any extra energy to give. You feel heavy, you feel more stuck in yourself. Like literally, I feel like often people feel like they're just a soul stuck in their body, often in those types of energies. But when you're in the light energy, you feel light, you feel lifted, you literally feel expansive, you feel, I don't know, like it's like your emotion, you want to go up, you want to raise your arms, you just want to almost take up more physical space. Like, and I feel like that's literally just like, that is the energy. You have more energy coming off of you instead of weighing you down. It's flowing through you. It just makes sense. So it's saying that you have more energies in those moments of joy and gratitude and happiness and lightness and appreciation, that is why you're influencing the energy of the world more, because your energy is bigger and brighter and just stronger. You have more energy in you because you're just being fueled by such light, high energies, versus the dense energies, which kind of make you heavy and small and not exuberating a lot of energy. Okay, anyways, let's read the rest of this card. It says, your thoughts and actions carry more karmic weight in the world. As your power increases, your ability to do good increases too. Your positive words can have a potent effect on others. So to have the very human moments where you may be having an off day and unintentionally respond to another in a way that is not unconditionally loving, we do not want you to be afraid of becoming powerful. We know that most often you are going to make a positive contribution with your power. We also know that sometimes you will wish you could have undo a choice you have made and its effect. To help you, we offer a karmic protection where the destructive impact of your actions is softened and the positive effect of your action is enhanced. As you grow in power and impact, our gifts of heavenly mercy will surround you. Aligning your actions with divine will and blessings, you and all affected by you will divine compassion. Oh, that's beautiful. It's almost saying that your good is so potent that even if you have an off day or if you make a mistake, like the energy, I think it's even like, it to me even makes sense. It's like your intention is never illful. So it's almost like it's just, you never will, even like your bad days, you will not put heaviness or large wounding on people to the level that maybe you did in the past or other people have in the past, because your intention isn't to harm. It's just you are not feeling like yourself that day, and it's very human. Okay. Well, I hope this reading was interesting or something for all of you. I was feeling very curious for the answer, and it's interesting how often when I feel like I want to create more change in the world, personally, that I usually come back to very similar answers this. But I have to be honest, I quite like the way they explained this better than how I like explain it to myself. I feel like this was a much wiser way to explain it, and I often love card readings like this, like even like last week's, where it gave me a lot of insight to like our very humanness, and I really appreciate seeing it from like the eyes or the perspective of for lack of better words, the guides, because yeah, I feel like I kind of had some of these thoughts, but this was just put way more eloquently, there we go, than I would have normally had put it or explained it to someone. So I guess that's why I love card readings still to this day, is that I love that I feel like it always gives me reminders that are just great to be reminded of, and sometimes information from a different perspective than I've seen it, and then I love it because it's like, oh, that's such a great way to explain it, and maybe I'll explain it to clients in this way in the future versus the way I was explaining it before. So yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. You know what? Why don't we clear the energy before we go here? Yeah, because I always feel like this does feel like, I don't know if you feel anything like I do. I usually feel a little like conflicted. Like I'm like, okay, I get this, I love this, but there's the human me that still needs to, like, still grieves that, like, I don't know, sometimes wish there was an easier, like, this is actually a very easy answer. Maybe that's the issue, is sometimes I just want a physical thing to do, like, do this and it's figured out. That must be the masculine energy in me wanting that, where this maybe needs more of the feminine of just being what you need to be in the world to create change right now. I don't know. Anyways, I'll clear the energy for you if you would like to receive that. Hang on a second here. I put it away. And also, just thinking about it now, that one card did say that some of you might be struggling with fear of the power of your voice because you understand the power of the words you may have. So it had said, sorry, that not to fear your own power, because like they said, whatever you say, even if some people take it the wrong way or misunderstand it, the effect of the good is much, much greater than the effect of the bad. And I think it's very human of us to want to have only the good impact and not have anyone mishear it. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe you just needed to hear that it's okay. Your impact is so much higher and lighter than it is negative. So maybe you're a YouTube card reader like myself, and sometimes you worry about the power of your words. You're helping more people than you're not. Just know that. Okay, let's clear this up for you. Just kind of leave you more on a neutral note. Okay, that's my intention. All right, I hope you all have a wonderful day. And maybe I'll catch you around sometime.